Hi, everyone. This is Senator Joni Ernst, and I want to wish Iowans and all Americans a happy new year. There's no doubt that 2020 was a tough year, and folks across Iowa and the nation were confronted with unprecedented challenges. But as we kick off 2021, I want to take a moment to recognize your perseverance and determination over this past year. You all have been a bright light during the darkest of times of this pandemic, and I'm so proud to continue fighting on your behalf and as your voice in the United States Senate. With the start of a new year and a new beginning, I'm wishing you and your loved ones good health, happiness, and prosperity. May God bless you, the great state of Iowa, and the United States of America.
Hello and happy holidays to each and every one of you. I know 2020 has been a tough year for everyone, and as it comes to an end, I don't think any of us are sad to say goodbye. As we begin the new year, we have a lot to be hopeful for. A return to normal appears to be in the cards for 2021, as COVID-19 vaccines are already making their way to Montana. I know most of us would love to be at a party or a bar to rein in the new year, but it's critical that we continue doing our part to stop the spread of coronavirus and keep our friends and family safe. After all, you can still pop a bottle of champagne and count down the final moments of 2020 through a video chat with loved ones. And even though this year will be a bit different than the others, we've got to keep our eyes on the light at the end of the tunnel so that we can get everyone to the other end of this crisis safely. So from Charla, myself, and the rest of our family, Happy New Year. Stay safe out there, folks, and make sure you're avoiding gatherings, staying socially distanced, and masking up.
Texans are strong and resilient, and the American spirit has always been marked by courage and generosity. That spirit was on full display throughout this year as we dealt with the massive economic and public health crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic. We dealt with inflamed racial division and a polarized political environment. Despite all of these difficulties, Texans and Americans alike rose to the challenge to help our neighbors and those in need by supporting our brave healthcare workers, first responders, grocery store clerks, and other critical workers on the front lines of this crisis, truly making a difference in our communities. People across this great nation exercised our fundamental rights to further the promises that this nation was founded upon: freedom and equality. I'm confident that we will come out of these troubled times stronger, more united, and renewed in pursuit of freedom and opportunity for every American. As we look ahead to 2021, I'm deeply honored to continue representing the great state of Texas. And I will continue fighting to reopen our economy and to get millions of Americans safely back to work and back to school, to strengthen America's national security, and to protect the religious liberty and the constitutional rights of each and every American.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021. You know what? This is going to be a year where we all need to be happy warriors fighting for freedom every single day. So when you set your goals, make certain one of those is every day, I'm going to be in the fight to preserve our freedom and our liberty.
Listen, I'm glad 2020 is almost over. For many, this year has been a nightmare. For everyone, it's been a year of challenges and new routines. To those who have lost a loved one, my heart goes out to you. And to those who have lost work or hours or income, have been forced to close your business or struggling to pay the bills and keep food on the table, or are facing the challenge of homeschooling your kids while also working full-time. I know there's so much more that we need to do in Washington to meet this difficult moment. And though we all want to just put 2020 behind us as quickly as possible, I want to make sure that I'm accountable to you for the work that I do on your behalf. So I want to review the work that I've done over the past year to partner with leaders in Connecticut to respond to this pandemic. In February, I was one of the first to raise the alarm about the seriousness of this virus. I urged the White House to take immediate action. But time and time again, as you know, incomprehensibly, the White House chose not to act. So I saw it as my responsibility, especially in those early days, to try to fill this leadership vacuum and to push for a robust, appropriate federal response. When the crisis for medical supplies, for instance, became untenable in Connecticut, I organized an effort of 45 senators to write legislation requiring that the president fully invoke something called the Defense Production Act to get PPE and testing equipment to our healthcare and frontline workers. I created a bipartisan coalition shortly after that to pressure Education Secretary Betsy DeVos to keep in place requirements to fully serve students with disabilities during the pandemic. She was considering dropping those protections, which would have just devastated millions of kids with learning needs. And in the end, we won that fight. The requirements, the protections stayed in place. I introduced the first proposal to give cash assistance to families in the early days of the pandemic. And that proposal resulted in the $1,200 checks that went out over the spring and summer. That infusion of money into the economy, it saved millions of jobs. I wrote a bipartisan bill to reform our global public health programming to make sure that as we're managing through this crisis, we're also making sure that nothing like this ever happens again. That bipartisan blueprint will hopefully become the basis of action in the Biden administration. In Connecticut, I worked with Governor Lamont to make sure that federal money supported the state's coronavirus efforts. Over $21 billion in new emergency federal money has come to Connecticut because of legislation that I helped pass in Congress. And I've also tried to lead private sector relief efforts as well. I raised over $130,000 for Connecticut food banks in our state. And I organized and funded a massive effort last spring and summer to hand out free books to low-income students who had lost access to libraries. Over the course of the year, we distributed over 40,000 books, free books, to kids in Bridgeport, New Haven, Middletown, Waterbury, and New Britain. And well, this year I couldn't do my annual walk across Connecticut for obvious reasons. I have held dozens of virtual town halls with small business owners and not-for-profit leaders and medical professionals. During the height of the first wave of the virus in Connecticut, I sent out nightly recorded videos. And to this day, I'm still sending out regular newsletters to keep people updated about federal action and, frankly, inaction on pandemic response. Well, I've been careful about not doing too many in-person events in Connecticut. I have visited with countless healthcare workers to express my gratitude. I've toured Connecticut manufacturers to say thanks for the work they're doing to produce PPE and medical supplies. And I've helped out a lot of our food banks to distribute food to those in need. Over the past few months, I've been pushing for another major COVID relief bill. And last week, it passed. It's going to include billions more in new relief for Connecticut. Really important relief, badly needed. Unemployment benefits are going to be extended for another 3 months. And there's major new assistance in this legislation for schools, for hospitals, and small businesses in Connecticut. And enough money to fully fund our vaccine distribution efforts. That's a big deal. Now, along the way, there have been a bunch of non-COVID related victories for Connecticut. Obviously, I've spent the majority of my time in 2020 working on COVID response, but we've also scored a couple other big victories for our state. Just 2 examples. Last week, I got the Congress to approve legislation that cancels the proposed private sale of Plum Island in Long Island Sound. And so now we finally have a chance to preserve this unique habitat for generations to come. And I was also able to secure funding to build a brand new federal courthouse in Hartford. That will make the administration of justice easier, but it's also going to create a whole bunch of jobs too. So as we close the door on 2020, I remain optimistic that next year it's going to be better. It has to be better. But I remain clear-eyed about the work that we still need to do to make sure that we distribute the vaccine effectively in a way that gets to everybody and that we provide more relief to families and businesses in our state that are still struggling. It really is the honor of my life to be able to represent Connecticut, my home state, in the United States Senate. And I'm ready to tackle these challenges head on into the new year. Thanks for the opportunity to serve Connecticut. I wish you and your loved ones a happy and healthy new year.
Happy New Year! 2020 is finally over, and we're on the other side of it now into 2021. So I hope you enjoyed the beginning of something brand new, and we close the page on the past and start over on something brand new. So enjoy the new year and all the new opportunities. It's got to be better than last year. Pretty good chance of that at least. So enjoy the time.